certain periods throughout my life, I was in rougher areas compared to other areas. But then I realized very early on, like there's nothing in the streets, like at all. I've been between spaces of easily likable and no one gives a In school, I never really fit in nowhere specifically. Like, you know how everybody had their niche and their cliques. Even the niggas who didn't fit in nowhere combined together and made it click. I didn't fit in with them. You see what I'm saying? I did not fit in with anybody. Without the strive of perfection, the that I've done, I would not have done.
Hi there, I'm Jay.
Hi, I'm Marie.
And we're Good Soup Productions, and we just finished wrapping up another episode of Good Soup After Dark, the one that you're actually about to watch now. We hope you enjoy the episode, and we just want to say to make sure, if you like it, like it. If you like what we say, what should they do?
You need to like, subscribe, and share our videos.
So you may notice our background is a little different. We are actually over at the base over in Wilmington, Delaware. That's 920 North Church Street in Wilmington. Chris has been really great to let us use this space, and you too can use this space. There's plenty of space here for events, performances, studio space to produce your own music, make your own beats, record your songs. So if you're interested in working with him and his space, make sure you DM him on Instagram at base_302.
And of course, we put all links down below. You can find it. And yeah, contact him. It's a really good space.
Yeah, you've probably seen some of our work that we've done here already, particularly with TME during their Proving Grounds events in November and December. That big, wonderful space you see in the background where everyone's having a good time and everyone's performing, that's actually over here in the base. And again, that's at 920 North Church Street in Wilmington. Make sure you hit them up at base_302.
Yeah.
Hey, we hope you enjoy this episode of
Good Soup
After Dark. Hi there, welcome to another episode of Good Soup After Dark. I'm Jay Gonzalez. We have Morihrihart behind the cameras on the ones and twos. And today we have a very special guest. You might see him as an artist, but he's more of an expresser. His songs touch people in a way that helped them kind of realize how to express themselves, I think. I'd like to introduce you to YVNG Spark. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you feeling today?
Not too bad, man. And before we get into it, that's your camera right there. Just tell the people where they could find you.
So right now I'm in a real construction process. So Instagram at YVNG Spark, that's 2 S's. And at YouTube at all capitals, YVNG Spark. Now, when you go on YouTube, right, you're going to see somebody else on there. That is not me. He got like 600 views. I'm still starting out. So that's not me. You scroll down to the one with the black profile picture. That's me. Feel me? Okay.
And we'll make sure we put links in the description down below so you can get the right one as well.
Yes.
And thank you for pointing that out, because sometimes people might accidentally support the wrong artist.
Yeah. It's like 10 people with the same name.
You know, believe it or not, we're not the only Good Soup out there.
Damn.
Yeah, so we make sure we try to differentiate ourselves. So we just want to get into just who you are, man, and you have a pretty unique name. Can you go into what that name is and what that means?
So as far as the name, it has multiple different kind of layers. So initially how it went, right, it was different processes. So I came up with it in 2016 about, and throughout the whole span, it was like really not the beginning of 2016, but I'll say the beginning of summer to October that it took me to really figure out and process it. So it's really a thing where growing up, you want to have some kind of meaning or some kind of code that you stand for. You see what I'm saying? Like, at least for me, I can't really speak for all, but I always looked at stuff in a more hyperactive sense. Mm-hmm. You know, I always wanted to figure out, okay, so to take a little off range, okay, say I planted an apple tree, right?
Okay.
I always wanted to figure out, well, how does the seed to the tree work? You see what I'm saying? When it falls off and you get the seed from the apple, what's inside of the seed? What makes up the seed? What kind of chemical imbalances does the seed have? So I always looked at stuff from a more kind of prophetic approach. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So when I went into the process of YVNG, it was really something that I had the name for, but it had no meaning. And then it went through multiple different meanings and different phases. So at first it started off, I was learning a lot. I like a lot of information and intelligence and have wisdom. So I was learning a lot like, okay, I know what a street gang is, but why did it start? You see what I'm saying? So I was going through the history of that, and you learn from like Bloods and Crips came down from two different spurs through the Black Panther Party and stuff like that. So at first, it was going to be a Crip faction that I was going to start. It wouldn't really be like me getting initiated in anybody else's. I was going to start it myself. You see what I'm saying? Because I find a lot of goodness in helping people. And at that point in time, I was really more so, how do I put it? There's a lot of things that puzzled me that no one could tell me. You see what I'm saying? Like, I was trying to figure out a lot of different things within myself and about the world around me. And, being at that age around like 12, 13-ish, a lot of your influences in like a rougher neighborhood are the people who usually do rougher things, who end up going to jail or being around certain things. And I'm not saying I'm like a street dude or anything. I'm very so not. You see what I'm saying? That's not really me. But I can't lie, like the influence wasn't there because I wanted to live life at a higher quality. So with YVNG, it started off playing Pokemon Go. I caught an Electro Buzz and I named it Spark. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's where some of it came from. The second part of Spark goes based off like people just all my life since like school, high school, middle school, they call me Spider. They call me Spark. They call me Sparky. They call me Sparkly. You see what I'm saying? So I kind of just took that and I applied it after the YVNG part. Now, to kind of cut it short, YVNG is more so you never let a nigga stop your grind. It's not really abbreviation because you can't really map that out unless you kind of, but that's really what I came down to around the ending of October to December-ish of 2016. That's really where the overall foundation of the name comes.
Never let them stop your grind. Well, What does the grind mean to you? What is the grind?
At this point in time, I probably wouldn't even use the word grind, but to me, it's really a thing of purpose. That's what the grind is. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people get caught up in, say, when you're coming up, you have a certain clique or convoy that you run with, or a certain kind of branch of networks. A lot of times, the individuals in that group feel a sense of dependency upon the group. So if one of them go dark, it's like, well, what's happening with such and such? But sometimes you need to go dark. So really, you never let them stop your grind is more so, it doesn't matter if it's family, friends, anybody, if it's your dog or your cat. When you hit the point where you need to focus on yourself and step away from everything, because a lot of people can't. And that's how they get caught up. I've been in a lot of positions throughout my life where I'm like, I put myself here for a reason. But is this really what I feel like doing right now? You see what I'm saying? I've been in a lot of positions, and not even necessarily negative positions, but a lot of times I find myself just in the environment and I'm observing my environment. And it may or may not make me the happiness, or not even happy, but I may not feel like I'm supposed to be here right now. You see what I'm saying? So I really say the grind is purpose. Only doing things that align with how you truly feel at each time, you know?
You mentioned that you came from a rougher area, but you're not a rough street dude. And like, even though there's those types of influences, you found yourself kind of on the outside of that, which led you to kind of want to be like, I want to start my own faction, my own thing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like a street gang or anything like that, but just like your own thing. Mm-hmm. What made you different from the environment that you found yourself in?
Well, really going into it, I would say growing up, I was kind of in like an intermediate phase between like a high, low class and the low mid class. You see what I'm saying? Very
socioeconomically?
More so like I wasn't in like hood-ish areas for the most part, but I was around a lot of hood-ish areas. Like I lived in Dunleaf before. You feel me? I lived in Bear before. I lived in Newark. You feel me? I lived around Glasgow. I've been in Wilmington multiple different times. So it's really a thing where I wouldn't say I was in a rough area in the sense at all periods of times. It's more so certain periods throughout my life I was in rougher areas compared to other areas. You know, by nature, I like being around a lot of nature, a lot of trees. I don't really like being around a lot of low vibrational people, you know, or like ignorant people or people who just like party on stuff. But that's stuff that I experienced both in Newark and in Newcastle and Dunleaf. So it's really like I have a duality of it. So the street influence was really like, I know a good amount of people who have been in streets and shit before, and I've been in experiences that have involved street-like activities. But I myself never really got into it because, you know, there's a lot of situations that you can get into, especially in school, hanging out with people and they're affiliated with certain things, even if they're not in the gang. You know, beef is beef. It doesn't discriminate on who you are. But I never really took a kinness to it because I always felt myself doing something more than just the environments I've been in. I would say I feel for a long time while I haven't dropped, or even to the point now, I went through multiple different phases where I just question everything. You know, like I feel like I'm bigger than what I've experienced. And it's like I'm fighting against myself in a sense.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I would say that's really what makes me different, is because I went through stuff at a faster rate, but at a slower rate materialistically. You see what I'm saying? Where I knew people who were in the streets more who done got shot at, who done shot at other people who probably got stabbed and stuff, who were kicked out, homeless, and they had better outfits than me. They had more females than me. They touched more money than me. They made more money than me. You know what I'm saying? So I knew people who had it necessarily worse than me, who still had it better than me. You know what I'm saying? Because I might have excelled in the sense of shit that you can't see and that you can't touch, but they surpassed me in things that I once idolized or things that I once wanted. And that's really where the street faction part of it came, is more so being able to create an economy in the sense where I can make the energy flow in a certain way. But then I realized very early on, like there's nothing in the streets, like at all. Not even like a gang street wise, but there's just civilians who be out here living who are in the streets just because they live in the environment that the streets are in. Because the streets go anywhere. It's not just like a color or environment thing. There's streets in Beverly Hills What a street is an economy of people who get caught up and woven into a fanatical way of life, like a fantasy. Like if you go out to Philadelphia, it's very political. It's very self-populated. Like Philly, just like Florida or Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, they have a very well-knit communication of how their whole thing goes. So if you go out to Cali, you might hear a whole bunch of artists that you'll never hear in Wisconsin. They have a whole different kind of government amongst their own people. And a lot of times you get caught up in that, and you tend to, you ever hear the phrase people blow up and still die in their own city? Because they get caught up in that self-government. You see what I'm saying? It's like when you live...
Nipsey Hussle be like an example of that, maybe?
I would say in the sense, but Nipsey was a little different because he actually kind of moved stuff around. Mm-hmm. So I would say yes, but in Nipsey's case...
Maybe that's not the best example.
Yeah, I would say it's a good example, but in Nipsey's case, he was a victim and a leader inside the self-government. You see what I'm saying? To where he tried to sell his neighborhood. So I'm not saying in the sense that self-government is not bad, mm-hmm. but a lot of times, especially in my sense, I always felt like I don't want to get caught up in any of the self-governments. I want to be able to move freely throughout the different populations.
Yeah, you mentioned that that you weren't really ever tied down to one area. Like when you say you were from a rougher part, like you found yourself in rougher situations depending on where you moved. It seems that kind of has like an influence on how you like view people and like those kind of self-contained populations within like larger cities or neighborhoods and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like as far as just like your expression, because you say you label yourself as more of an expressor than an artist. Like, do you find it difficult because you're not tied down to a certain place, or is it just more like expressing like who you are on the inside when it comes to your music?
I say with music and with life, my best blessing and curse is that I'm very good with people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's real easy for me to make someone like me. But the thing with that is I've been between spaces of easily likable and no one gives a about you, nigga. You know what I'm saying? It's really been both. It has never been full out more so one or the other. It's one of those things where like, it's a thing where like, say you're seeking validation, right? But at the same time, you don't want validation. You want acknowledgement. You know, it's really a space of being in between. Like in school, I never really fit in nowhere specifically. Like, you know how everybody had their niche and their cliques. Yeah. Even the niggas who didn't fit in nowhere combined together and made a clique. I didn't fit in with them. You see what I'm saying? I did not fit in with anybody. So even with lunch, I would relate lunch to how I moved around. Like, I sat at different tables, I talked to different people, but at the end of the day, it was just me by myself in the desk after lunch. You know what I'm saying? So I say, as far as moving, it's kind of the same because I've had happier times when I was living in Dunleavy and I heard niggas shooting like 2 blocks down. Then I had in Newark when it's quiet, but it's just a whole bunch of light pollution. It's just a whole bunch of sound pollution. You see what I'm saying? I've had times where I've been happier in lower situations, but it's the happiness in the lower situations that made me understand that I was happy because I was myself. I wasn't happy because of the situation I was in. And even in the higher situations, I was unhappy because of myself. It's really about how you act. So I feel like being in those different places, even in music, my music usually don't fit in. So I've been in shows where I've been the enemy, where people not feeling my shit. I've been in positions also where people are feeling my shit and I convince myself that they're not. You see what I'm saying? Because like, I'm saying I've been in positions where I rap dead ass looking at a shorty. Like I'm looking at her straight ass in her shit. Like she cannot miss me. And she's the, Like, she's trying her hardest not to look at me. I'm like, nigga, I'm right here. Like, you see, like, I know you see me. I have the mic. Everybody else is looking at me. She just trying not to look at me. So it's like, I've had positions like that, and I've had positions where I felt favoritism, where I bring a certain kind of energy or certain kind of emotion displays when I perform compared to when other people perform. Like, I've had times where I was nowhere to be seen when it's my turn to perform, and everybody in the building, everybody in the crowd is looking for me. You see what I'm saying? I've been in the building when the same thing has happened to other people, and it's only like 5 people that's looking for them. I've been in the position where everybody was looking for me. You see what I'm saying? And I have less songs out. Like, that's how I know when it comes to the music, it's not a thing of industry. Because the industry don't get you places, it gets you network. If you have network, but you're not that, you're not going to make it. And there's plenty of reasons that show people who had the networks who didn't make it. But my whole point is, with the music, you can kind of tell when something is for you and when it's not. And I feel like me not fitting in anywhere has given me a better position compared to me trying to, because I can really do anything that I want to. My whole point of music, of why it's taken me so long to actually put out a real project, is because, one, I don't drop mid shit. I only do classics. So if it's not a classic, I don't want to put it out. Two, I'm very stubborn, even when I work with other people. If I feel like some shit is incongruent, I'll just abandon the whole thing. You feel me? 3, replay value. You know, it's quality. I know you want to have a quantity of quality, but I like having something where really it's the thing where I'm thinking, if I put out my first shit and niggas aren't listening to it, then I just wasted time putting something out. You see what I'm saying? That's really how I look at music. It's not really a thing of me trying to get the validation of them, but it's like, if I put myself to the point where I'm putting something else or I'm putting something out, I know it has to be good, because I don't do stuff mistakenly. I don't do stuff the second time. I do it the first. So I feel like if I put it out and it's showing no results, then that's a waste of time. That means I didn't do certain things in the process right. You see what I'm saying?
I would disagree a little bit, only because even in your failures, there's lessons in them. Mm-hmm. So if you put something out and doesn't get the listens, people don't receive it the way you want it to, that can just tell you, well, as far as just like, you know, making a product or a song or whatever it is, all right, that doesn't work. I don't need to do it again. You're not wasting your time doing it the first time and it fails. You're wasting your time doing it over and over and over again if you know it's not going to work.
I agree.
So, yeah, I get what you're saying. So, like, I mean, I think you get that mindset. Mm-hmm. Like, if you do something and it doesn't work, it's not that it's a waste of time. It's just, you just need to try something different.
And it also depends what kind of the answer do you want from a song. If you, for example, make the song and you did how you wanted it, because you said you're stubborn, you like to do how you want to do that, how you hear it, how do you want to people hear you, and people don't understand that. Even if one person understand that correctly like you created, I think it's already success. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think even one person understand it exactly and say like, oh, that's hit, that's success. And more you work, more people hear you, more people find this exactly point that you're trying to prove or show, and that's more and more success. And I think I understand this stubborn thing, because it was like you say that, I'm like, I have the same, I have it, but honestly, sometimes it's good when you just overcome this thing and you stop to be like, sometimes it's really complicated, but you need to say like, okay, I better right now do this how I, like, not how I feel it, but I will look, if it doesn't work, then I don't even try it at all. You know what I mean? Because you can say like, if I don't feel it, I just don't do that. I feel it the same thing sometimes, but sometimes you just do it, and what if it works? If it's not, you say it's your fault or your fault. I mean, at least inside yourself, you're just like, I want to do this differently. You want to do this way. Next time, I'm gonna do this how I want. But if it works, that's part of you. I just want to share it. I don't know, because I understand this feeling. At the same time, I think anything, if your song hit one person, that's success. And if our video, like someone looked from the beginning to the end, that's success. Even if it's 100 people look at like until like 7 minutes.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say, as far as all of it goes, I look at it more so like, I agree with both of those. It's not a thing where it's a waste of time in the sense of I wasted my energy doing it. I would say it's a waste of time because I don't really go by the numbers. I do look at the numbers in the analytical point of view. You see what I'm saying? I think of it in a numerical way, you know. But as far as success, I feel success when I'm in the song, listening to the same 40-second loop. I'm 20 times in that motherfucker. I'm just dancing in my room. That's when I feel success. So for me, I would say it would be a waste of time for the sense that I enjoy stuff. So I like when other people enjoy stuff. You see what I'm saying? And since a lot of my stuff is unreleased right now, I would say from 2018 when I started making instrumentals to now, I have made at least 50 tapes. At least. Not saying they're all finished, but I'm saying I worked on project after project after project. And the reason, like before the shit that I'm working on now, I was working on something completely different. You see what I'm saying? I did my first show in October 2023, I think. You see what I'm saying? I can't fully remember. But the reason I keep scrapping stuff is because there's a certain level that I can see myself making music at that I'm not hitting. That I know if I hit it, then people will actually listen. You see what I'm saying? Because it's not a thing where I'm not making music that I like. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't make it, of course. But it's a thing of not skipping levels, but how can I put an elevator in the 25-story building that takes me from the first floor to the fourth floor without going adjacently up? Like, does that make sense? I'm thinking of stuff like playing the piano, right? How can I start from the bottom root note at the bottom of the piano and play every root note up? But instead of just playing every root note up, I want to go from here to maybe the middle of the bottom segment, touch the one right next to it, and then jump to the third of the high segment. You see what I'm saying? I'm thinking of stuff more so, what can I do to actually bring the quality in and have it survive, and not only survive, but to have people have memories with the stuff. Because that's how you make a classic. Someone has to be able to feel something about it. They have to be able to perceive it, even if they don't like it. You see what I'm saying? It's not about being liked or disliked. It's, what's a song you like that you remember from 5 years ago or whatever?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Or just a song that you remember throughout your life that you liked.
I don't know why, but 50 Cent's Many Men comes to my head.
And say with that, like example, with Many
I remember
Men.
being like, when did that come out? 01, I think, or maybe it was 01. So I might have been like 10, 11. I'm in my basement. My older brother has a CD playing. Can't play it too loud because the curse words. So we're in the basement around the radio playing the CD, and yeah, that's all.
And see, right there, that's what I'm talking about, right? you have the memory, okay, cuss. You can't listen to curse words because your parents probably whoop your ass if they heard that shit.
Right.
You feel me? So now that's the thing. You're introducing yourself to experience because now you have not like a strict layer of laws or guides, but you remember specifically what you did and could not do in order to hear it. And when you listen to it, something in it struck you and it made you feel something that's like, this was worth what I had to go through for it. Mm. That's how you build the experience. That's how you build the emotion. And that's kind of how I do with my shows, right? Where some of them is kind of back and forth. Sometimes I talk to the crowd, sometimes I don't. But a lot of times I find it's because, well, one, I be looking at people dead ass in their face. You know what I mean? But I feel a lot of times with that, I provide a certain kind of energy that'll make you feel something, even if you don't care. Because not caring is still caring, because you still spared the energy to think about, well, I don't care about this. You know what I'm saying? So that's really how I look at it. Like, with the stuff I'm about to drop, right? I'm going to drop it because I like it. That's why I don't like working with a lot of people and why I've been figuring out everything myself, because I want to make something that's true and genuine to me, to the nature, and that can actually go far in longevity. You know, I don't want to make just a poppy, trendy song that'll blow up, but I don't like it. Because how are you supposed to perform something you don't care for?
Yeah, there's a lot of artists out there that, well, what can I think? Off the top of my head, I could think of Radiohead in the song Creep. It's just a song that they did on an album that people just took to. And every time they performed, people wanted to listen to Creep. And it got to a point where the lead singer was like, I am not singing that song anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, I have 20 albums. Like, why do you want to keep hearing Creep? And it seems like you get kind of caught in that trap of just like making something that, you know, you think people are going to like, and then you realize you don't like it, but now you're kind of stuck to that. Is that something that you're afraid of? Or not necessarily afraid, but like, is that something that like you want to avoid?
I would say the shit that I've been really analyzing as far as a holistic view is, one, how to make every song a classic. Everything that I work on is diamond, not gold. You know what I'm saying? Two, the whole one-hit wonder thing. Because the one-hit wonder thing is very interesting for the simple fact, sometimes the people who are one-hit wonders do not be one-hit wonders. Like, they have multiple classics, and you just don't hear about the other ones like you heard about the one. So you think they're a one-hit wonder. But my thing is, really, I figured out how to crack all of that, you know. But as far as that goes, my thing is more so from the beginning to now, I've always just wanted to make what I want to make and people like it. You know, like, I've always been trying to figure out, how can I make what I feel and what I want to make and make it at the same likeness of a Kanye track or a Kendrick Lamar track or whoever's on the, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do I take my ideas and I put it in the same realm of quality of a Michael Jackson song? Because if you think about these people, they're all making stuff that they probably liked. They just brought it to a high enough level where it's digestible on a mass scale. That's really what my whole approach been, and that's why I haven't dropped anything. Because even if you go to my YouTube and you hear the stuff, it may be really good, but you can hear the imperfection in it, the parts where I can make it better. Like, you can tell the level of quality it's at. I like making high quality stuff.
Do you think it's just that you can tell? Because like, one of the songs that I liked in particular that you shared with us, if you don't mind me referring to the page here, Unknown Reference Number 7. I didn't really say anything. I enjoyed that song in particular. Mm-hmm. Now, Not to say that you are, but could striving for perfection hold you back?
Yes. I would
I mean,
say,
we've seen you perform. Like, I've seen the energy that you brought to the room. Like, you literally kicked your shoes off, got in the middle of the floor, and you're jumping up and down, and people around you, I don't know if they knew you or not, but they're just jumping up and down with you. You know what I mean? Like, and those right here in this room, right here in bass, like we've seen you perform. I think you have a way of influencing and touching people, if not just for the moment. I mean, could the strive for perfection be holding you back from reaching people that could possibly change their lives?
I would say, in the sense, yes, but I would also say, without the strive of perfection, the shit that I've done, I would not have done. Because that's a part of the reason why I've done it. Like, I'll say for the first year to now, for the first 10 years of my life, at least, I've just been experiencing stuff and observing stuff. So when I started getting into music, I observed. I observed the street gangs, of how the politics work. I learned that the street gangs and the government is same shit. It's all the same shit, as well as the churches, all the religions, all of it is the same thing. It's politics. The countries fighting with each other, all the wars, it's all politics underlaying other things. I would say with the perfectionist, it can hold you back. But I would say, in general, it's really me. Like I said, it feels like I'm fighting with myself in a certain sense. Whereas, like, it's not that I'm stopping myself from dropping certain things, which I have done before. It's more of a thing where I'm looking at it in a sense of, okay, I want to be able to fully feel like I want to be able to sit somewhere and someone randomly that I don't know just passes by and they're listening to my song. You see what I'm saying? I want to feel, in a sense, like I'm a stranger to my own music. And the sense where, like, I want my stuff to be good to the level where it's like I always think someone real successful, if you build houses for a living and it's just normal to you, right? After your 20th house, when you walk in the neighborhood that you built houses, it's not going to be like, damn, I built this. It's like, yeah, this is what I do. You feel me? I want to feel like, yeah, this is what I do. That's really where the perfectionist part come from. And where, I really will sit down and just think about something over and over and over. So, like, my laptop right now, I have no storage in that bitch. Like, at all. I have at least 1,600 projects that I have worked on that laptop, at least. And I have about 2,000 vocal recordings accumulated, give or take more or less, but accumulated from when I first got the laptop in 2019 to now. So I would say the perfectionism can hold you back, but at the same time, I would say the levels of degree of the turmoil within myself, that's kind of why I'm making this album or this tape, how I'm making it. Mm-hmm. Because I realize my perfection is my fuck-ups. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have a tape in the future or an album in the future called Imperfection. In order to be perfect, you have to be imperfect. Because imperfect is the actual perfection. You see what I'm saying? But with the songs, I know something, even outside of a perfectionist lens. I know how the longevity looks because I can visualize it. I'm very much a futurist. I can visualize a lot of things before it happens. That's kind of how I do a lot of my shows. I just think about it. I visualize it. So certain things don't go how you expect it will, of course. But when you can visualize it you kind of set the energy of how you want it to go and how you feel it to go. And then the rest of it just bounces off the crowd. So actually, at my first show, right, I talked to Joshua Mars of New Wave because he did the music for me. I had some of them out there doing the drum. And he told me, like, I do good in any kind of crowd, small or big, but I really thrive in a big crowd, like with a good amount of people out there listening who wants to, because I offer intimacy with my shows. That's why a lot of people like me. Either if they don't follow me at the end of the night, either they never catch my socials. I get favoritism because I offer an intimate bond that feels exclusive with the people who I'm performing for. You see what I'm saying? That's why one of my shows, there was some shit that happened and the whole mood was up. I came in, I performed, and I brought the energy back up. You see what I'm saying? And then the people after me were able to recapsulate off that energy because I pulled it back up. I've had shows where I started chants and shit when nobody else is doing chants, and one of the other performers did a chant after my shit. You see what I'm saying? So in a sense, I would say it's a clear level of impact and influence that I have, even though I only have 146 followers on my Instagram. I only get between like 18 to 40 views when I post on my story. And I only have like 5 reference demos on my YouTube. Like, for me to be as small as I am, I have a lot of power in certain situations. And I would say, again, going back to me fighting with myself, that's a part of why I haven't dropped music. Because on one hand, it's I'm good. The other hand is I could do so much better. You see what I'm saying? And those are like...
Both can be true.
Mm-hmm.
But you won't know how people feel unless you kind of show them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the age of the internet, that's where a lot of people spend their time, you know? And like I said, just meeting you and just kind of like hearing you, like first and foremost, it sounds like you thrive in a live crowd situation, which is great. Like, that's where you're the most influential. I just don't think you should rob people the experience of like knowing who you are, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to hearing, you know, your projects when they do come out, when they are fully fleshed.
Yeah, but crazy shit, dog.
But
I can play you some shit. I got crazy shit.
But what I will say too is that, believe it or not, people do enjoy the journey as well. You know, like you talk about you use the analogy of like an elevator kind of skipping some floors and you're not trying to get to the penthouse suite right away. You're trying to get to
I'm still trying to gradually get there, but I'm thinking, how can I pull the most foot traffic into the elevator as I go?
Just don't forget the other floors. You know, like when Maria and I first got together and we started making videos, like we were making vegan recipes on TikTok. You talk about like no views. You know what I mean? And now a couple of years later, like, you know, we're meeting, especially down in Delaware. Like, we live up in Philly. Mm-hmm. And we got down here one way or another, working with different groups and organizations. And now we're just talking to artists from Philly and now artists from Delaware. Like, Delaware's kind of opened themselves up to us, you know, a lot of the artists in the Wilmington area. So it's just like, you never know where you can go just by putting yourself out there. You know what I mean? So like, I get what you're saying. And I know Marie agrees with the whole perfectionism thing, trying to put out your best possible thing. Marie's a traditional painter. Like, all the pieces you see back here are all hers. And I remember for the longest, you know, just trying to get Marie to just start painting. She's like, I don't know what to paint, you know, and it's just put paint to the canvas, just make something. And she's created, like, in our home, I think, like 50, 60 pieces up on the wall. And she's just constantly creating, you know, and like, it might not feel like every piece is going to end up in like the MoMA or the Louvre or wherever, but all of those pieces are just like a piece of her journey, And like you can see in like certain pieces where she's gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like everyone loves a good finished product, don't get me wrong. But I mean, Drake dropped like the 100 gigs thing when he's showing like how he made certain songs like back in the day, like from like 10, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. People enjoy that too. So, I mean, please like don't let your strive to get better ever like weaken, but don't let that ever stop you from connecting with people. Yeah. You know?
I would say that is a part of my own thing, because another reason why I haven't is like, since I started, my whole focus is making good songs. Yeah. Well, not just good songs, but like, you know what I mean? You can be good lyrically or good at hooks or something and not be able to make a good song. While they say a lot of battle rappers can't be actual rappers. Because when it comes to making music, I don't look at it as rap or country or hip hop. I look at it as how good is the song is. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I put my energy into making good songs. So my thing is, I don't want to be able to perform good if I can't converse that. Like in order to be at a certain level, you can't compensate. You have to have certain, like it has to pull together. Like a cake, right? If you use too much vanilla extract and you don't have sugar in the cake, it's gonna taste weird.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So my thing is, I've always wanted to figure out how to make the song as good as possible and be able to convert that into the actual performances also. Mm-hmm. So I will say, not even just a perfectionist, but my own doubt and certain things that I put myself in position of have hold me back. You know, you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I have a question. More about what's go first for you. It's music. It's the feeling, like what you have when you write the song, or it's the lyrics. What's the go first? I know that everything is important, but what's for you go first? It's what's about song, or how do you feel about this song, or it's the music?
I would say, as far as my creative process, the number one thing that I do specifically, mm-hmm. I gotta go with me. You know, I don't really like the meaning of the song, the lyrics, and then the beat all comes after I sit down and figure out how I'm feeling. You know, like
gotcha.
I really, and that's why I say expressor, because everything I make is like a embodiment of energy. You know, because energy, emotion is energy and motion. It's emotions that you feel in the current physical. That's why in school they teach you about kinetic and potential. Kinetic energy is moving energy, the emotion you feel when you're doing the things you do. The potential energy is the energy that while you're assimilating the emotions to come. You see what I'm saying? So like when you think of something you like, that's potential. When you actually do the action of what you like, that's kinetic. You see what I'm saying? So with music, the first thing would be me. You know, I usually like with say music, right? I Am Music. That song is actually very interesting because it started off, I was doing a Do Better freestyle over an Absol instrumental. And when I was rapping it, it was off beat. And me and Music Note, that's one of my producers. Well, he made music. He a producer. I say one of my producers because we work very tight knit. But one of the producers I work with, I knew him for a while, and me and him naturally butt heads. You feel me? So I was recording it, and the shit's off beat, right? I'm telling him, yo, dog, there's a certain pocket that I know the shit to be in because I was recording it on my shit before I recorded on his. So I'm like, yo, do it like, let me do it like this. It's going to sound off, but I can fix it. He was like, no, bro, because, you know, it's a thing about FL and like how the grids line up. So how I work, I'm outside of the grid. Okay. You see what I'm saying? I can put stuff on the grid, move it back from the grid. You know, I'm very free and open. He's more of not strict in energy, but strict in how he operates the DAW. You see what I'm saying? He's more of an on-grid person. So I'm telling him, my nigga, just move it off the grid a little bit and you'll see what I'm saying. He's like, no, bro, this shit is ass. It's not going. So I'm like, yo, dead ass. If I can't do this shit how I'm supposed to be doing it, I'll just say, F it, we work on a different track. And that's what happened. And the next track he pulled up after that was, and the funniest shit, I got this whole shit on video. The next track he pulled up was Action Movie, which is the instrumental for music, I Am Music. You know what I'm saying? And that shows how it works, because I could have left or he could have said, I don't want to work on music no more. But since we went through the toughness of me trying to record the freestyle, we came into a whole different track. You know, so to really answer what you're saying, I would say the sonics and the lyrics follow me, you know, like either with the shows and the performances, a lot of shit. I would never say I'm a leader in a sense. I'm more of a guider. You know, I'm more of like, I don't like to use the word director because I feel like it low-key has negative stigma a little bit. Depending on how you use it. You know. But I would say in the sense of, if there was a big body of water and rocks in the water, I'm the person who pushes the rocks around so that the water can flow. So I put the rocks in different positions so it can filter the water. Like, I'm a conductor in a sense. So I'm like a generator. That's why in the shows it works how it does, because I generate the energy. With the music, people can connect to it and have that bond. And that's why I feel like what I'm putting out now is what I've been looking for as far as the first steps, because it has the quality of replay value and it still has the overall authenticity of who I am. You know, as far as the lyrics and the instrumental, everything is really like, it just happens. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's some beats that I made I'm surprised that I made it. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, what the was I doing when I did this? You see what I'm saying? Some things I cannot replicate. Yeah. A lot of times, if I lost a file, I'm like, well, time to make another one. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because it's a certain level of energy. Like, a lot of my lyrics and stuff, I freestyle. Okay. Like, I remember lyrics from 2016, 2018. Like, just memory. I don't even have it written down, just memory. You know what I'm saying? Like, that comes with a lot of repetition of, like, working on it. Like, there was times where I was in limbo states working on music, where I would be working, I lay down like this so I could still hear it, I'll fall asleep, I'll wake up, that bitch still playing. I was like, ugh, I'll go back down. You know what I'm saying? But I would say, as far as making the song, it's me first, then the energy. Because the message and stuff, I can take one song and make 20 different versions out of it. So the message and the lyrics and all that, it all kind of like, it's like a big ass spider web, you know? But the spider web can't exist without the spider. You know what I'm saying? So with songs, I really start with myself first. Yeah.
I also want to say that you mentioned, you know, acknowledgement and validation. I acknowledge and I validate you and what you do. And we really appreciate you coming through and doing this. And we look forward to your projects, you know, when they actually do drop and you share them with the world. But in the meantime, I'm just going to point you to your camera again. If you could let people know where they can find you and follow your journey.
Okay. And also, I would say I appreciate both you, Jay, and Marie, for having me on. Oh, absolutely. You know, I look forward to future interviews and stuff. Yeah. And one last thing before I say that, I would say you have to understand a certain process of how observing, listening, and hearing goes. You can have close people and still be an individual. You know, when I did the show here, I talked to one of the people here, and even though his views was different than my views, I was able to take the information he said. never hold yourself down to feel as though you have to be with the people you work with or with your friends or with your family. Give yourself the freedom to step out and say, I'm putting all this down and I'm just being myself. I'm going to go, you know what I'm saying? Like, feel free to put everything in your life down and just be yourself. Go ghost sometimes. It's good to. Again, where you can find me is Instagram, YVNG SSPARK. No caps on Instagram. And then YouTube is all capitals, YVNG space SPARK. And then everything else is still being worked on. So,
and we'll make sure we include links down in the description below.
Okay.
Thank you again, man, for doing this. Picture time?
The last question. If any movie, the character you think you like can say like, oh, I'm like this character. Who is this character going to be? It's more about like character, like for we can feel like, oh, like when I'm watching this movie, this character, and you feel like, like that. It probably sounds weird, like a taste of something, like taste of music, like, oh, this like sweet song. There's like sometimes people have like this.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna everybody up. Othello.
Okay.
I have not seen it, but we're going with that one today. Othello. I'm Othello. You feel me?
Now picture time.
Awesome.